Welcome back, students. We are still busy with topic 1, information processing in the business organization. Now let's look at module 3. The heading is processes followed by managers when making decisions, and that's on page 17 of the prescribed textbook. Our learning outcomes for this lesson is number 1, identify the steps that managers follow to make decisions, and number 2, identify the characteristics involved in decision making. As an introduction, you can follow with me on the screen there. Managers have the difficult job of making decisions, and their decisions impact the organization and everyone in it. Managers often make decisions to solve problems. So please just keep that in mind, that it's common practice for managers to have to make decisions because there's certain problems that they need to solve. We need to ask ourselves, how do managers actually become aware of problems that exist in the company or organization? Now, there's basically two ways. The first way is that the manager is so involved in the company, hands-on involved, that the manager him or herself actually knows what's going on in the company, and they are aware of problems because of that. The second one is simply that the manager gets informed by other staff members or employees about any problems that exist in the company. Below is a list of how managers may decide to deal with problems so that they become aware of. The first way that a manager can decide to deal with a problem is to simply avoid the problem and pretend as if the problem does not exist. And you can imagine for yourself that this is not an ideal situation where a manager is actually avoiding a problem, pretending as if it doesn't exist, because those problems will not go away by itself. So there will never be a solution for that problem because the manager is avoiding it. And those problems that he's avoiding can even cause the company to not reach its goals or its objectives. The second way a manager can decide to deal with the problem is simply to deal with the problems as they become urgent. So let's say, for example, there's a lot of problems that comes up. The manager will decide to deal with the most urgent problems first. And the last one, and this is now in the case of a manager that's really hands-on, that knows what's going on in the company, knows exactly where to look out for problems that might appear. So this kind of a manager is the one that seeks for problems, he anticipates them, he's working with them in a proactive manner to prevent them from even becoming to that stage where they are urgent. Our second section, the problem solving or decision making steps. That's what we're going to be discussing. I've got a list for you here of the steps. The first step in the decision making process is basically to clearly define or identify the problem. And in this case, you need to do it accurately when you define or identify the problem, because this step affects all of the rest of the steps. So if we go in step 1 and make a mistake here and we don't identify or define the problem accurately, then all of the steps that's going to follow is going to be in vain and useless, because we are going to be addressing the wrong problem. Step number 2 is basically gathering information so that we can actually determine the cause of the problem. And one way of accurately identifying or defining the problem is by gathering information. And you do it by asking a few simple questions like, where is it happening? So in other words, where is the problem actually occurring? What exactly is it that's happening? And how is it happening? When is it happening? Who is affected by this problem that's occurring? And also, how is it being solved? In other words, is it actually being solved? We must ask ourselves that particular question. Now below is the list that we are continuing with. And the next one we're looking at is step 3, that's brainstorming. So what is brainstorming? Brainstorming means that you get relevant people around the same table or in the same room. You explain to them what the problem is, and each one of them, based on their experience, their expertise, their skills and their knowledge, they come to the discussion with suggestions, with their opinions, so that possible solutions can be on the table at the end of the day from which we can select the best solution to implement for a particular problem. Step number 4. So after we've brainstormed, we've got all the possible solutions in front of us, we need to now discuss and analyze these different possible solutions. We have to look at the pros and cons of each one, the positives and negatives. Then we make a decision on which one will be the best. In other words, the one with the highest likelihood of success. That will be our chosen solution. Number 5, we implement that solution. Okay, so when we implement the solution, it is crucial to get the support of the relevant staff members to make sure the implementation will be a success. So in this case, remember, top management might be sitting with a problem. They brainstorm, they come up with possible solutions, they decide, make a decision on the best solution. But it's not to say that because top management made that decision that the lower level employees will just accept the solution as is, or the decision. They might be negative about it. Okay, and then that negativity or the resistance that they give might hinder that implementation and the success of that implementation. Step number 6, we need to evaluate the outcomes. So you're going to keep an eye on that solution that you've implemented. You monitor the situation and the effectiveness of the solution. And if you need to, you have to make certain changes or tweaking to the system. You fine-tune it to make sure that that solution is working as you expect it to. Also keep in mind that management oftentimes changes their mind about the solution that they've chosen. And they might even decide to put in effect a completely different solution. But the most important thing to realize there is, look in the take note section there, left bottom corner. Carrying on with a failed solution may cost the company a lot in terms of time, in terms of money, as well as other valuable resources. Our third section, in this section we are basically going to be looking at the characteristics involved in decision making. And so there's a few characteristics that any manager would want to have as a person in order to be able to make good decisions. The first one is intuition. Now, intuition is sort of that feeling that you get about, what kind of a decision to make in a particular situation, what will be the best solution, the best approach, that kind of thing. But it's all about intuition being that gut feeling that you get in a particular situation. Then another characteristic is initiative. If you have initiative or you take initiative, it means you don't wait to be told what you need to do. If you've got the skills, experience, and expertise, you yourself make a decision and you start putting it into action. Then you are taking initiative. So that's a good characteristic to have. Insight. Insight means that you are able to look at a situation and you can sort of see into the future, sort of predict or interpret the situation accurately. And intelligence is the next one. If you look at intelligence, it has to do with a person's intellect. Now, some people will talk about how smart you are. That's basically intelligence or intellect. But it's basically the ability to think clearly and logically about a specific situation. Experience, it links up with that first one, that intuition one. Okay, past experience will definitely assist any manager in making future decisions. Now, because if they had to deal with a certain situation in the past, it will give them information to assist them in dealing with similar situations in the future. Considered opinions. In this case, this is a manager that doesn't just want to take his own opinions and beliefs and make decisions based on that. This manager actually values the opinions and the inputs of other colleagues or other staff members or employees, and bases decisions or his decision makings then based on those inputs that other people also bring to the table. Lastly, the last characteristic is you must be a good communicator. So if a manager is a very good communicator and there's a specific problem that the company is faced with, then this manager, because he's a good communicator, will be able to get people together, the relevant people, He will be able to use his good communication skills to explain to them exactly what the problem is, communicate with them that they have to come up with solutions, and have a discussion about possible solutions, give the pros and the cons. So that good communication skills will help this particular manager so that the best solution can be on the table and decided upon at the end of the day. Okay guys, that was it for this particular lesson. You are more than welcome to watch this presentation as many times as you want or as many times as you need in order to be confident that you understand the work, and that you will be able to give the correct answers in a test or exam. And we will see each other in the next lesson.